body chasing the truth.
This is Rogan trying to cover up. Remember when Brendan Schaub was brought on the Rogan show, the Rogan Experience, and out of nowhere, he just started being super critical of Brendan Schaub's fighting skills and embarrassed him live on air, and then claimed, it's because I really love you. You didn't do that because you love him. You're deeply resentful of Brendan Schaub. You're jealous of his success in two different sports, and now in stand-up, that's why he's a threat to you. And this is just typical Joe Rogan spin, like trying to make it sound like he's a good guy because he really doesn't want that revealed. So let's get into the video and we'll go from there.
Hey man, we started this podcast off talking like off the record, and I thought it was probably good for everybody here. Like, when I'm so happy you're not fighting.
Yeah, sure you are, Joe.
What we were saying was, I know that I was a dick to you to get you to stop doing it, but I felt like there was almost no other way that you were gonna live. I felt scared.
Oh, he was scared.
I've seen too many people that are just there's a moment where it changes, where they stop being that person and they keep fighting.
Joe, you're so full of it, Joe. Deep down, you're jealous of Schaub. You resent him. He's everything that you wanted to be, or at least attempt to be, and you didn't even try to be that as far as in the athletic realm. And now Schaub's moving into your territory in comedy, so you're just resentful of him. And I love today the whole attitude. You're being Mr. Nice to him. But any other podcast when Schaub talks, you just dismiss him all the time. You're not any of his opinions are just dismissed. See, what probably happened behind the scenes was people were being critical of Rogan for what he did to Schaub, and he was probably reading the comments. So now, in typical Rogan fashion, he's trying to make himself the good guy here.
And you see it. You see the deterioration, and no one steps in. And
no one
stops him. And then you'll talk to him alone, man. Maybe you run into him in Vegas. Maybe you both have a couple of drinks. You see each other at the bar, and you're like, "Hey, how's things?" And you have these conversations, and then the reality sets in.
Wait. You'll have those conversations with other guys that you're not friends with, that you don't love like you do to Schaub, but you couldn't have done that with Schaub over a drink or had dinner and discussed it with him, so it didn't have to be on the air? Go figure, Joe.
Not good for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys that have taken punishment for too long, there's no bringing them back, man. They get to this spot where everyone knows there's something wrong, and no one says anything to them. And I was real scared that was going to happen.
Oh, here we go.
I was real scared.
Oh, you're such a great guy, Joe. You were so scared, right? You were so scared that you embarrassed Schaub in front of millions and millions of people with no warning. It wasn't agreed upon that you were going to talk about this before you went on the show. And now you're just trying to cover up your resentment of Schaub by, you're scared and you're afraid. Gee, this sounds like a familiar tune, I'll tell you.
I didn't anticipate when we did that crazy podcast that wound up being, this intervention. I didn't even know I was going to do it. But while it was happening, I was like, you got to stop. That's all I was thinking is, you got to get out.
Oh, yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joe.
I don't even remember if we were drinking, but we probably were.
Blame it on...
Being so sensitive to it.
He'll blame it on the drinking. He just had to go there, right? No, you had to go there because you're jealous of Schaub. That's what it is. Just like all your friends are, just like the online community. Again, I've said over and over, in life, Brendan Schaub, Division I athlete at Colorado, played football, scholarship, whatever. Top 10 in the world, UFC fighter. Now he's making a living off stand-up. And Joe and all his minions, they spin the narrative daily how Brendan Schaub isn't good at anything and he's a clown and he's this and that, and that's why he's attacked online. And Rogan is the puppet master behind this. And, he's not even man enough to own up on... he's not even man enough to own it, so now he's trying to make it like, oh, I'm the good guy, and I'm trying to rescue Schaub because Schaub doesn't know what's good for him.
There's something has to be done, now.
Oh, yeah.
You had so many other possibilities that most guys that are all in on fighting, they don't have anything on the side. There's almost nothing else there. There's almost just fighting and maybe a family, right? Mm-hmm. But you were starting to flourish. You're hilarious on podcasts. That can go away.
Okay, right. Now he's hilarious. You mean the hilarious guy? Wait, but you notice what he said? You're hilarious on podcast. He would never say you're hilarious doing stand-up, because then Schaub would have said, well, if I'm so hilarious in stand-up, why can't I perform at your comedy club? Just another spit in the face from Joe Rogan to Brendan Schaub that he won't let him perform in his comedy club because, like I've been saying over and over and over, Rogan resents Schaub. Deep down, he's jealous of Schaub, and this is his way of covering it.
Man, guys become shells, and man,
You see it, right?
Yeah, dude.
Now that you're out, you see it, right?
Right? Convince him.
Yeah,
Try to convince him, Joe.
God, or whoever's up there, man, for you and Brian Kellen.
Oh, you're...
Thank fucking God.
I'm not buying this.
I know it did, and I know I apologize then, and I apologize now.
But I
was
think
just
that's the
scared,
only way you could do it.
I
know,
knew
like
you
that's-
weren't gonna listen. I knew
Nope.
you had this pride, like you were like we were talking about before the show. You were a top 10 professional heavyweight in the biggest organization in the world. That's a identity thing too, man. That, like you people get strapped into that.
See, I always think that Schaub is a super nice person. Even with all the fame and money, he seems super down to earth. And he's like a giant baby. And I don't think he's a mean person at all by any stretch of the imagination. Even when he's being attacked, he's not really mean. You know, yeah, he's not. I just don't think that it's who he is. And this is just another way of Rogan manipulating him, like, and he's buying it, Schaub. Like, oh yeah, thank you, man. I really needed that. Maybe he's insecure, doesn't want to be alone. You know, he wants to be part of that group. Maybe it's because he doesn't want to face more online criticism for absolutely no reason at all. You know, I'm not buying that Schaub buys into this whole thing. And if he is, I kind of feel bad for him. Like he's like a big, giant, naive baby.
It's one of the harder things about fighters is when you quit, you have to find meaning in your life. Like, what are you good at now? Dude, for me, I know I never did anything professionally, but it was the formative stages of my life where the only thing that gave me any feelings of good was martial arts.
You didn't feel like a loser.
The only thing.
Yeah.
The only thing. Everything else I felt, even I was kind of good at drawing.
Schaub, are you trying to be nasty and try to call him a loser? Was that your dig back? I'm just curious.
But even then, I was like, my drawing teacher didn't like me. I had friends that I was close with in the class. We all drew and we liked our stuff. But, man, I felt like a fucking loser except for martial arts. So when I quit, and then I'm just doing comedy, and I suck at comedy. I was eating shit. And I was like, what am I quitting for? Like, I'm quitting something that I was good at to be something that I suck at, that I maybe think I have this pipe dream that I could eventually make a living out of. I remember that feeling of not having an identity. And obviously, when you're 21, no one has an identity anyway. You're always so fucking confused.
You're in your head. You're trying to figure it out. I was super fortunate where I was surrounded by guys like you, Callan, Bert, Tom, and it's just like where I wanted to be in that party. I was so fortunate. The stars aligned for me where I was at this party over here and guys were getting CT and you know you're fighting and it's a fucking grind and then you guys were over here. I'm like, well, I want to be one of them. I'm good, man. I'm good. I want to do that.
Yeah. See, he's just admitted to it. He wants to be part of their group, and wanting to be part of the group. Plus, he's a nice guy. Plus, he's naive. Plus, he doesn't become aggressive when he's attacked or become nasty. That's what opens the door for Rogan and his little minions to like treat this guy like total garbage.
Yeah. And I think it took that bridging that gap. And to be honest, I think that's the only way that you could have done it because the ego that I had at the time, especially fighting, man, getting to that level, it was like that ego's insane. The narcissist and the dream of I can beat Kane or Stipe, these guys, and I think the only way that I could have bridged that gap is by you going so hard in the pain. You know?
Dude, I was so scared about Ngannou. I was so scared they were going to fight you with Ngannou or someone like that.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? I was so scared you were going to get murked by some when you weren't all in anymore.
How many times are you going to say so scared to make it look like you're the good guy? Schaub, I wish you could really see through this because he is just spitting this because he probably went home and looked at it and realized, man, that, you know, my my deep down resentment of Schaub was so obvious at this point. Everybody's going to realize it. So now I got to spin it like, I was so scared for you. I was so terrified for you. And I love you. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I hope you could see through this, Schaub, one day.
You know, those big fucking, when you watch like when Francis murked Overeem with that left hook,
uppercut?
Jesus Christ! Like if that was you,
Oh, my God.
and I was calling that fight, man.
Oh, here we go.
And I love Alistair. He's a great guy. I have a deep appreciation for him as a fighter. I mean, and my feeling was
The forever steroided Alistair Overeem, who should not be a Hall of Famer at all, because without steroids, he's another Brock Lesnar that would have no career whatsoever. He's a total fraud. And anybody that just has to constantly cheat like that, look at the guy now. He looked like he's 135 pounds. And of course Joe could relate to that. Oh, he's a great, I love him. He's definitely first ballot UFC Hall of Famer. No, he should not be a Hall of Famer in the UFC. He's a drug cheat. Michael Bisping, on the other hand, Michael Bisping is one of the greatest UFC fighters ever, because there is no doubt about it. The man has never put a steroid, a legal anabolic, in his body ever when he's competed. And that says a lot.
when he came over as K1 Grand Prix champion, I'm like, this is the most celebrated striker we've ever had in MMA. And you saw it in his fight with Brock Lesnar.
Phenomenal.
Dude, man, that one of the things that makes that Francis KO so fucking crazy.
Insane.
I mean, he did the same thing to Junior Dos Santos, remember? Overeem did it.
Yep.
He hit him with a beautiful left hook. Very similar punch. Super worried about that with you, man.
But
Yeah,
I think
sure,
also,
Joe.
I think, too, for me, it was like this quick ascension into this UFC, and I'm fighting these top 10, top 15 guys. I'm in this world, but it's like I was almost like a cheat code because I was really athletic. I was really, really athletic with my background, so I passed a lot of guys fast, my athleticism. But then you get to a certain point where you're fighting these vets where they fought big, powerful, athletic guys before. But then it comes down to experience and technique, and that's always going to win. 9 times out of 10, that's always going to win.
To me, this video is just Rogan covering his tracks. Again, I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but, Brendan Schaub seems like a super down-to-earth, super nice person, like a giant baby. He's not vicious whatsoever. Rogan is the puppet master behind the attacks, whether it's in the comedy world or in the social media world or just the general disrespect in general towards Brendan Schaub. I believe 1,000% that Joe Rogan is jealous of Schaub. He resents Schaub, and especially now since Schaub is trying to do stand-up. Wait, you love the guy and whatever, but you won't have him at your comedy club because you claim he's not that good? Well, why don't you have him in the comedy club? And if he bombs, he bombs. Hey, that's the best way to learn, getting thrown into the fire, right, Joe? But Joe is full of garbage, and he knows it.